Hey everyone, here with a review of a very special remake. For those who don't know, this game is a survival horror game that was first released back in 2008. The game was a huge hit with its mix of terrifying enemies, gripping story, and innovative gameplay. Now, more than a decade later, the game is getting a remake, and I'm here to tell you whether it's worth your time and money. The game we're reviewing is called Dead Space. As always, I will do an introduction of the start of the game for people that have not yet experienced the game, if there still is any that hasn't. For you guys that don't want it spoiled, please skip to the timestamp below. Dead Space Remake starts with Isaac Clarke, the game's protagonist, boarding the USG Callisto, a spacecraft tasked with investigating the USG Ishimura, a mining ship that has gone silent. After receiving a distress call from medical officer Nicole Brennan, Isaac Clarke's girlfriend, along with his team members Kendra Daniels, Zach Hammond, Aiden Chen, and Isaac sets off to investigate the Ishimura. Haley Johnston is left with the USG Callisto due to a leg injury when they crash landed on Ishimura's docking station. As they approach the ship, they receive no response to their hails. Once they enter the ship, the eerie silence and darkness of the ship becomes immediately apparent. There are no signs of life, and the only sounds are the team's footsteps and the creaking of the ship. As the team approaches the entrance to the flight lounge, they get scanned and are free to enter. When they enter, they are received by an empty room where it seems like people have been in a hurry to leave. Hammond asks Isaac to check the damage report terminal, which is located in another room. Upon interacting with the terminal that brings up the damage report, we can see that it's not only comms that is a problem on the USG Ishimura. All of a sudden, a quarantine alarm sets off and a weird sound is coming from the vents. In a matter of seconds, two horrifying monsters appear in the room with Hammond, Kendra, and Chen, forcing them to fight. As Chen tries to fend them off, he unfortunately gets killed in a very gruesome way. Kendra tries to pass security to open the doors. She succeeds, but Isaac is forced to separate from the group since the door between them is locked shut. Another door opens, and now we are running for our life through a dark corridor alone as more monsters appear through every vent. We keep running until we reach an elevator, running in, pressing the terminal, and this is where our story begins. I just gotta say that this is how you do an effing remake, guys. So let's talk about the graphics in the game. The graphics in Dead Space Remake are a significant upgrade from the original game. The game's environments are detailed and atmospheric, with excellent use of lightning and particle effects. The Ishimura is a massive ship that feels lived in and full of history, with cluttered hallways and machinery that gives the impression of a working vessel. The lighting, shadow, and reflections are just amazing, and it works perfect for a creepy and immersive atmosphere. I need to mention that I did have problems with running this game in certain sections. When in combat, the game would drop frames, and it was very frustrating recording and playing when this happened. I had to lower the graphics to have the game running smooth during these sections. I don't know if this is due to my specs or if it's due to me recording and playing on the same PC, but it got better as I progressed. But since I've heard that people with specs way above the recommended also had problems with running the game, it seems like it has something to do with the game. I read another review where they had similar problems. I'm not very technical when it comes to hardware, but if the game stutters and drops frames with very powerful and expensive hardware, it feels useless to buy expensive hardware if everything is going to run like you played on a potato anyways. This is unacceptable for a full-priced game, and we need to stop letting things like this pass. Even if the game is excellent, there is no excuse for releasing an unstable game. But moving on. The character models in Dead Space Remake are just stunningly realistic and detailed. The textures and the animation are top quality, and Isaac's suit looks like something from the real world. Definitely an improvement from the original game. I have to talk about the cutscenes in this game, even if I died multiple times during my impossible playthrough. Yes, you heard me right, I did play this game on impossible mode. Oh. come on. What was I supposed to do? I don't know what I was supposed to do. Come on, man. Fuck. Why does this game do this? Come on, man. Fuck. So I watched the cutscenes a few times, but it was just a joy watching them over and over again. And the blood and gore effects are just excellent, with detailed textures and animation that makes the violence feel visceral and intense. I'm very impressed with how they used the interface in the game, that we could easily interact with our inventory while simultaneously being able to walk around, which is a huge improvement that we didn't have in the original game. Overall, the Dead Space Remake's interface are a significant improvement over the original game. The sound design in Dead Space Remake is a crucial aspect of its horror experience. And in this aspect, the sound team should pat themselves on the back because the sound in this game is just amazing. There were so many times that I felt my heart jump out of my chest by just listening to every sound going off in this horrific environment. And don't get me started on the ambient sound in this game. As you travel through the dark corridor of the USG Ishimura, you'll hear creaking metal, distant groans, and other eerie sounds that makes every step on the way so much harder to traverse through. You feel uneasy all the time and the tension is all over you. Even Isaac's footsteps echoes through the ship's narrow hallways, which makes you feel isolated and even claustrophobic. The sounds of weapon firing and necromorphs screeching are sharp and visceral, making the combat experience so much better. They have even added different sounds for every necromorph, which makes it easier to tell them apart by just hearing them. They had this in the original game, but not at this level. And I just love that the audio changes depending on what's happening in the game. If you're in combat, the audio becomes more intense, and when exploring, it eases down to normal audio, and this added the immersion and helped to create a more dynamic and responsive experience. The audio in this game is very impressive, and it really added to the overall experience. The gameplay is still faithful to the original with a few updated mechanics and improvement. One thing that I thought was amazing in the original game was the combat system. In this game, you don't focus on getting headshots or aiming for vital organs, but instead you have to dismember your enemies by shooting off their limbs with different mining equipment that you will find throughout the game. This means that you have to be very careful with how you use your ammunition, since it will run out fast. Every shot counts. Same goes with your health. You will pick up medkits here and there, but they will too run out. This is a very unique way of killing your enemies compared to what we have seen in other games, at least the games that I have played. The first weapon you start out with is the plasma cutter, which is my favorite weapon in the game by far. But as you progress through the game, you will find other tools you can use to kill your foes. As I said before, you will run out of ammo, and you can find more by stomping your enemies, but what they drop is random. Luckily, you can find schematics in the game that you can use in the store to unlock all the equipment you find scattered around in the environment, but all of them will not be easy to find. Which means that if you want to find all of them, you will have to do a little exploration around the Ishimura. In the store, you will find that you can buy and upgrade your armor throughout the game. You don't have to find any upgrades in the world to do this, but instead, as you complete chapters, you just have to check the store if a new armor is available. But they will not come for free. You have to use credits that you also find on the Ishimura and dead enemies. Another tool that will help you on your journey is the famous stasis and kinesis modules, which allow you to slow time and manipulate objects in the game. This becomes very handy when you want to save your ammo. You can kill your enemies by spiking them with pipes, table legs. You can even use dead enemies' limbs. But these tools are also used to solve puzzles and move obstacles out of your way. The game also features an upgrade system where you can upgrade the different tools and armor. You can do this by finding nodes on the Ishimura that you can use in a craft station to upgrade damage, health, stasis, kinesis, and many other things. Movement and controlling Isaac feels great. It is smooth and responsive with improved aiming compared to the original game. They also have optional quests in the game that you can do to find out more about what happened on the Ishimura. And this is where I will mention something that I didn't enjoy. Throughout the game, you will find locked doors which require an access card that you will get as you progress through the main story. Spoiler warning. But there is an optional quest where you explore the ship for access cards from dead officers and other crew members that were stationed on the Ishimura. You collect these so you can get access to special doors that you won't be able to access if you don't do the optional quest. This requires you to explore and travel to places you've been before, and enemies will be present as you do this, and I tell you, playing on impossible mode and doing some sightseeing when every turn can mean your death is a very tension-filled experience. But when you finally get all the access cards, what you find in the room is the same things that you would find in any other room with no access request. I wish that they would have added something more special during these particular quests, but then again, I probably didn't find all the special access locked doors in the Ishimura, but the ones I found were not very special. Other than that, the gameplay feels fresh and it's intense, strategic, and immersive, and I had much fun in this game. The story is just amazing, and the changes they did do not take away from the original story, but there are a few changes that actually make the story even better. The story is engaging, suspenseful, and thought-provoking. The atmosphere and the psychological horror sets this game apart from other survival horror games. I was so immersed in the world, and every moment of the story felt well thought out and was told in a great way. Dead Space Remake is an outstanding horror experience that lives up to the legacy of the original. It's intense and satisfying, the graphics are impressive, and the sound design is excellent. The story keeps you invested from start to finish. My final verdict for Dead Space Remake is a solid 9 out of 10. It's an excellent remake of an already excellent crafted game with good story, sound design, and awesome game mechanics. The reason why I didn't give this game a 10 out of 10 is because it is a remake of an already well-crafted game, and because of the stuttering and dropping of frames during certain sections. Even if it's very well improved on many aspects compared to the original, I still feel that the game is not groundbreaking, and as I said, it's an excellent remake. And again, just because the game is excellent, I will not give stuttering and dropped frames a pass in my final verdict. Would I recommend people buying this game? I am a huge fan of the Dead Space franchise, and I want to say buy this game without a doubt. And I would if it wasn't for the stuttering and dropped frames. I would recommend to maybe wait a bit before you buy and see if they fix these things, because it can destroy your experience. But if you can live with those things or live with dropping the quality of the graphics in the game, then it's a definite buy. Well, that is it for this time, guys. What is your verdict of the game, and what did you think about Dead Space Remake? Comments down below. If you enjoyed this review, please leave a like and subscribe. And as always, have a great day, night, evening, whatever time it is at your place, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.